Hey, so I want to share with you something really personal with you today. Years ago, when I was in therapy, my therapist gave me this homework assignment. She asked me to write about why I stayed. Well, really, she simply asked me the question during our therapy session, and it wasn't something that I could easily answer. So she asked me to write about it as a homework assignment. At the time, honestly, I really wasn't trying to make sense of any of it for anyone. I was just in a moment, where I was just trying to survive it all. But recently, I actually came across the poem in one of my journals and I read it and I realized how many women might recognize themselves in these words that I wrote. So, if you've ever asked yourself, which I'm sure you have, like, why did I stay so long? Or if you've ever judged yourself for not leaving sooner, then this is for you. I hope you hear yourself somewhere in it. So here's the poem, Why I Stayed So Long. And I'm just going to read it. I stayed because I didn't understand how this could be happening to me. I stayed because that's what I believed you were supposed to do. I stayed because I made a vow to God. I stayed because I made a vow to my husband. I stayed because I believe in marriage. I stayed because I believe in forgiveness. I stayed because I had to do everything I could before walking away. I stayed because we were family, right? I stayed because it had already been so long. I stayed because I didn't know me. I stayed because I didn't know what to do, who to be, where to go, why this was happening, or how I would survive it. I stayed because he'll get better. He'll get it together. He'll choose me. I stayed because it could all work out. Like, what if it all worked out? I stayed because he loves me, right? I'm the mother of his children. I stayed because I didn't want to be alone. I stayed because I had never been on a date. I stayed because I was afraid. I stayed because I thought leaving meant failing. Because I thought endurance was the same as love. Because I thought strength meant silence. I stayed because I was loyal to everyone but myself. And one day I realized I wasn't staying because I believed anymore. I was staying because I had forgotten who I was before survival became my identity. I didn't leave because I stopped loving him. I left because I started loving me. I left because peace started calling louder than fear, because my body was tired of carrying what my heart couldn't hold, because God wasn't asking me to stay broken to prove my faith. I didn't stay too long. I stayed until I knew the difference between commitment and self-abandonment. And when I finally left, I didn't lose myself. I came home. If that resonated, you're not weak. You weren't foolish. You weren't wrong. You were just doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. Staying doesn't mean you didn't love yourself. Leaving doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes the hardest thing we can do is stay. And sometimes The bravest thing we do is go. If you see yourself in this poem, I want you to know you didn't stay too long. You stayed until you learned the difference between love and self-abandonment. And if you want to talk about that journey, the staying, the leaving, the becoming, you're welcome here. I'll see you in the next conversation.